When I decided to ask my wife to marry me, I didn't go around asking people, should I marry this girl? I didn't go around going, what if we get divorced? What if we're not a good fit? You do it. You make the decision. Because the reason you're having thoughts about this is because you're not happy with where you are. Get up and change it. Life doesn't have a remote. You have to get up and change it.
Like, I need to change. I don't know exactly what that change is, but I need to change.
Yes.
And that's the moment we're talking about.
And that's that moment right there. Those moments are going to be fleeting. And it's going to nag you until you make a move. How many times have you been watching late night TV, see something being advertised, and you're like, oh snap, I thought about doing something like that years ago. And here's somebody making billions off of it. But every time you think about doing something, just know that you're not the only person thinking about it.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast.
Hey friends, welcome back to another amazing episode. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to give you a friendly reminder to like this video if you get value. That will help us continue producing this content for you for free. And today, to introduce today's guest, a dear friend of mine, someone who I have so much respect and admiration for. He's an immigrant edge story, came from Jamaica to the States, built his career, handled so much adversity and objections to get where he's at today. He's a multi-location owner within Fit Body Bootcamp, one of our most successful owners in the brand. I want to welcome to today's show, Mr. Uriel Baker. My man, Uriel Baker, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, well, excited to unpack this today, man. You're a dear friend, been one of our most successful owners in the brand in a short period of time. Now, new multi-location owner, which I just, introduced you for. So just a lot of exciting things. I want to welcome you to the show. And really to kick us off, I want to give a little backstory. So Uriel, could you just tell us how this all started?
Sure. So I, believe it or not, I know, don't let the accent fool you. I'm just kidding. I'm originally from the Caribbean. I'm Jamaican. And moved here when I was 24. So I moved here in 1998 to good old New Jersey. So Jamaica to New Jersey. I don't know if that's a good transition, but it worked. And, grew up in the Caribbean, spent most of my career, as a matter of fact, straight out of college in hospitality.
Did you go to school in college in Jamaica?
I went to college in Jamaica.
Okay.
Went to high school and college. Loved my college years. I remember at age 14 pulling up in front of, back then it was the Americana Hotel. I don't know if any Jamaicans listening to your podcast or,
Showing some Jamaica some love out there.
Over a certain age to know what the Americana Hotel was. But then it became the Jamaica Grand, and then it's now the Moon Palace in Ocho Rios. And I remember we were on a school field trip, and I pulled up in front of that hotel. And at age 14, I looked at that hotel and I went, this is what I want to do when I grow up. And so my entire career, college, hospitality and tourism management. Then straight out of college, I started working for good old Sandals Resorts. And I was one of those kids, I don't know if you've ever been to one of those Caribbean resorts.
I have, yeah.
Where you see all the kids on the microphones come on, hey, everybody get into the pool. That was me.
That's you.
That was me. At 6'4", I don't know, at 180 pounds dripping wet. I was so skinny. Right? But I loved it. Did that for about 6 years. Then, my mom left Jamaica when my sister and I were very, very young. This is one of those stories that when I tell, just shows my appreciation for her. I did grow up with a single mom. And, she decided, she wanted a better life for her kids.
Just a sacrifice.
She had a great life in Jamaica, I'm not gonna lie. But she decided, hey, I want my children to have a better life. Mm-hmm. So she emigrated. Again, I was probably 14 or 15 years old. And my sister, who's 2 years younger than me, so we were young kids. And so she moved here. And, back then, we had telephones and we had good old airmail letters. Yeah. So you'd send a letter and, you get a response, I don't know, 2 weeks later. Right? And so for a very long time, that's how we communicated. And then I think we finally saw my mom again in 95 or 96.
That's nearly 10 years.
Yeah, so it was a while.
Yeah.
It was a while, while she was living in New Jersey, trying to do everything she can to, make life better for us.
Yeah.
And then we finally, became green card holders and moved here in 1998.
Congrats, man. By the way, real quick, we just need more people like you in this country, hardworking, salt of the earth.
Thanks.
I'm so grateful that you made the journey.
Thanks.
Yeah. Continue on.
And, so as if you haven't noticed yet, I'm a mama's boy. I'm all about my mom, and so we moved here, my sister and I, and we kind of made a pact together that one of the first things we want to do is help her mom get her first home. And so worked her tails off. Kudos to my sister, man. She's a little bit different than I in that I am one of those people who I don't need formal anything. If I want something, I'm going for it. She plays by the rules. She college. I joke all the time. I think my sister has more degrees than a thermometer. Oh. Right? Yeah, she has. Yeah, she's just one of those people. Yeah. We've lived in the U.S. 25 years. She's been at the same job for 24.
Oh wow!
Right, and she's just amazing. So we worked hard together, built our mom her first home, right, and we moved her from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, and they're still there right to this day.
Good on you.
And Grandma's house is now where my kids, I think they prefer Grandma's house to mine, to be quite honest. They spend the entire summer with Grandma, and it's a negotiating process to get them back.
Oh, nice.
So typically, if we're going to pick them up, if we plan on picking them up, say the last week in July, I have to tell my mom that we're coming to get them the first week in July, because that gives me 4 weeks of negotiating.
Oh, how fun.
Right? Yeah. So literally, when it comes time to go pick them up, my mom stops talking to me. and so, each week it has to be, hey, mom, coming to get them. And she goes, well, in the strongest Jamaican accent ever, well, Uriel, you can't let me have my grandkids for one more week, kind of thing. So
no guilt trip or anything.
And, no pressure or anything. But what her sacrifice instilled in us, though, is that sense of hard work.
Yeah.
And focusing on a goal and sticking to that goal regardless of what else comes your way, right? Could she have just gone, what, this is hard. Again, you're moving from Jamaica, where it averages, I don't know, 85 degrees, 90 degrees all year round, to freaking New Jersey, man.
Baby. Holy smokes.
You know what I mean? And she did every job under the sun, to get us a better life. So that kind of instilled in us from day one, hey, if she can do it, who am I? Who am I to complain about obstacles? Who am I to not want to set goals and go after them, right? And so, yeah, I jumped headfirst into the hospitality industry.
And real quick, what attracted you about it? And I'll take a TV timeout just to showcase some of what I believe zones of genius, Uriel. And we'll talk about that today. But you're just a very charismatic, people-oriented guy. So you light up when people in the room. So my guess is that had something to do with it. But I don't also want to lead the witness. What attracted you to the customer service, the hospitality industry? And then we'll talk about what attracted you to Fit Body.
That's a great question. So, one of the things that I admitted with growing up in Jamaica is, believe it or not, I grew up in the church. Right, and this is going to have me talk now about my other mom, my aunt, who recently passed. And one of the things that that I joke about a lot, and if you were to watch the video of my wedding, my best man spoke about it. He spoke about the fact that I probably hate going to church now because growing up I was in the church 7 days a week. Right, I'd go to church on Sunday morning for Sunday school, then main church Sunday, the rest of the Sunday, and then Monday night there was something, Tuesday night there was something. So I was literally in the church 7 days a week, and a lot of the things that I do now are owed to that. My ability to get up in front of a huge audience and not feel any form of stage fright or anything came from that. I sang with the youth choir. As a kid, I sang with the senior choir. I had to practice public speaking, stuff like that. And even my ability to lead came out of that. And even my ability to work with people and care about people came from that. So from a very, very young age, I'd say from as early as I could speak, it was school, church, and volleyball. That's it. Right. And so, growing up with those people in my life, I just learned from a very early age, you're never better than anybody. Everybody has a story. Everybody could use help. You never know someone else's story. Don't assume.
That's so powerful. And I
Right.
think for me, it's interesting. I mean, being in the fitness space, what we talk and what we, educate our franchise partners, our coaches, first and foremost, we're in the people business
Yes.
more than we are in the fitness
Yes.
business. And when you can connect with people, we can love on people, we can lead people. When
Exactly.
that makes all the difference in the world.
does.
So the fact that you had that foundation, and I also believe there's a lot of factory installed in it, well, just knowing who you are, but from that factory installation, having that experience, it just makes a lot of sense that you'd gravitate to people and
Yes.
have very successful careers in two, I guess, on the surface, different industries. But really, if you look at it at the core,
It is
people.
still, it is still a people business. That's all it is, and I think that's what made the transition so much easier for me, transitioning from hospitality into a fit body boot camp owner, ultimately, at the end of the day, it is still people who are trusting that you're going to get them what you promised, right? Whether it is a king bed with extra pillows, or you're going to lose 20 pounds of fat if you stick with the plan. It's the same thing, right? We're still following up and following through on a promise that we made. The only difference is, you're going to be sweating more in one of those situations, right? But on a day-to-day, on a daily basis, I have interactions that mirror what I did for 30 years in the hospitality industry. It's somebody at your front desk talking about something that they're either not happy with, want help with, want guide with. Again, the only difference is one is more relaxing because you're sleeping in a bed, and the other one, we're kicking your tail. So it's really, like you said, it's a people business. And one of the things that my man CJ, shout out to my man CJ, I love that guy.
Love you, CJ.
I love that guy, man. One of the things that he said in our elite training in Rhode Island that sticks with me, and has stuck with me, and I've shared with my team and I've shared with Abby. If you're coming into this and your main focus is to make money, you're going to be disappointed. The money's going to come. The money's definitely going to come, and we'll talk more about this later. If you want us to dive into that, but if your main focus is not helping people, you're in the wrong business. And one of the things that my team and I talk about, and some of them even mentioned, when I asked them to talk about strengths and weaknesses, we have members who we literally just treat like, all of our members we treat like family. But we have members who will come to us with their stories, and we're like, hey, your health and fitness is more important to me than whatever you're paying me per week. So we're gonna work around that for now. If like I said, eventually the money will come, and we've had some amazing relationships and some amazing loyal members because of some of those sacrifices, and I don't call them sacrifices. Some of these investments that we've made, in focusing on the person rather than the account, and it's worked out to be beneficial to us.
Oh, I can only imagine. All right, well, I want to unpack, we talked a little bit about the background and then now kind of tailing into fit body ownership. Let's talk about that transition. Like, what was the aha? You have a wife and you have a couple kids and you're very successful for 3 decades, in the customer service hospitality business. Like, what was it for you that were like, hey, I need to make a change? And then also, too, like, talk through all the challenges, anxieties of what that is, especially, having a family.
Right. So I have 3 main reasons why we decided to go with Fit Body Boot Camp, or to make the switch, right? The first one was my own health. Again, for most of my entire life, I've been in great shape. I've been, again, volleyball, track, soccer, the whole 9, right? But with working in hospitality as a hotel GM, if you have the ability to, you move around a lot. Case in point, so I've lived in the U.S. for 25 years, right? Cincinnati is my 12th city to live in. 12th. I've literally moved about an average every 2 years. We've moved cities.
And now that you say this, I do know, and I'm not overly familiar with the industry, but that's
It's
typically
pretty
common. Why is that?
Because that's the easiest way to get your promotions, right? If you stay in the same city, you'll probably stay at your same hotel. I know GMs who have been at their hotels for 10 years, 15 years, But if you have the ability to move and transfer and relocate, that's how you climb that ladder faster. right?
Because then you don't necessarily have to do a lateral shift whenever you're shifting over.
Exactly, exactly. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're making an upward movement in terms of position.
Okay.
You're moving up in terms of the size of the property. So let's say, while I'm in Connecticut, I'm managing a 150 room hotel. And then there's an opportunity in Columbus, Ohio for a 400 room property. You're still going there as a hotel general manager. However, it's a bigger property. So more responsibilities, bigger salaries, and so on and so forth. So because of that, and at the time, I was single, so I could do this, right? And so that was great. But with that comes other things. More times than not, when you move to a new city, you're gonna live in the hotel probably 6 months. So you're eating hotel food. You're going from work to your bed. There's no activity. So over time, your health and fitness starts suffering.
Sure.
Right. And so I remember I ballooned up to about 292 pounds. I was a big dude.
Ooh.
Right. And I remember, I forget what she was doing. My older child was 3 year old at the time. This was in 2019. And I went to chase after her. And she ran around the house, and I'm running behind her. And I literally had to stop because my heart rate picked up and I was like short-winded. I was like, this doesn't feel right.
Oh, yeah.
It's not supposed to feel like this. At the time, I was in my 40s, but still.
Still, yeah.
So I went to the doctor, and the hits just kept coming, man. High blood pressure, overweight, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic. When I heard pre-diabetic, I was like, hold on, stop. Because my family has a history of diabetes on my father's side. Like, I have a lot of family members who are, a limb amputated or something like that because of diabetes. And so when I heard that, that's when I was like, this needs to get fixed. So, he wanted me to start taking medications and all, and I was like, Doc, I'm from the third world. Where I'm from, I go to my grandma and says something hurts, and she goes, hold on, let me go to the back of the yard and rub up some bush and bring back to you. I'm not taking any medication, right? And he's like, listen, you have to, So I said, I'll make a deal with you. Give me 6 months. I want to try and fix this.
You said this to your doctor?
I said this to my doctor.
Good on you, man.
Yeah. I said, give me 6 months. I want to try and fix this with nutrition and exercise. And he says, he fought back for a little bit, and then he goes, all right, let's see. And, he laughed because, you'll be back. You'll be back for drugs.
Because you got to think how many times he sees this.
Exactly.
You got to think the obesity epidemic in our country is 50%.
Exactly.
So he's just looking for
he's like,
probability.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
He'll be back. It's almost like telling your drug dealer, hey, I'm gone clean now. And he's like,
Sure.
You'll be back. They all come back, kind of thing. Yeah. So that's when I started my journey. Right? And I was like, listen, I need to fix me. And this transitions into my other why. My biggest why really are my children. And you're going to hear me talk about those two girls ad nauseum. So if you get tired of hearing it, sorry, my man. Right? Those two, and the reason is because I didn't have an involved dad in my life. So I need to break that cycle. Right, so my two girls are literally the most important people to me, and for me, it had been hard to put myself in a position where I can't be there for them because of failing health.
Sure.
Right,
it's the foundation.
Exactly.
If you can't run around and play with your 3-year-old,
why did I go and make them?
Yeah.
If I made you, I need to be here for you. Totally. That's just the way I see it, and so. I started looking, so I went back to the gym, I started lifting again and so on. But again, by now I'm 43. I'm in a gym with 20-odd-year-olds, benching 405s. And in your mind as a guy, you're like, I used to be able to do this. I'm going to try it. I can still do it. And I end up tearing my rotator cuff, So I was like, oh, my gosh, I can't win, But I still needed to find an answer. So I had my surgery. Was still out of shape, overweight, now the doctor's knocking, like, come on, dude, we need to fix you. And I'm like, just give me a little bit more time.
And fix you meaning by prescription medication?
Drugs. Yeah. That's how we fix, that's how we get fixed in the Western world. Right. And so, recovered from my surgery. By this time, I'm now moving. So I moved from Columbus, Ohio now to Cincinnati, Ohio, because I'm taking over a new hotel. And I started thinking, there's got to be another way. So I started researching, and I joined another group fitness company. I'm not going to call the name. Sure. And, was working out, was liking the group dynamics. However, as an ex-volleyball player, my knees aren't the best. So one of the things that gym does is a lot of treadmill workouts. And I was like, I can't do this. So
especially when you got up to 294.
exactly,
That's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight to be carried. Exactly. Yeah. So I started searching again, and then in the midst of that, we decided to host our Jamaican family for Christmas of 2021. So it was right after the pandemic. And we flew everybody up. We're having a blast. We're
bunch of Jamaicans
Yeah.
in Cincinnati for Christmas,
yeah.
cold weather.
Oh, yeah. Look
The whole
out
nine.
now. Look out. And I remember this one night, 2 nights before Christmas, we're in the basement. And, man, we're partying. We're going in, like real Jamaican style. And my phone rings at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's my hotel. And as a hotel general manager, you're on call 24 hours a day.
Oh, snap, yeah.
My hotel calls, and there's a power outage at the hotel. And I'm in my basement, and I go, I'll be there. Again, I'm in my basement. I was drinking. I'm in the Midwest. I get my cousin, my closest cousin was here from Jamaica with his wife as well. I said, hey, let's drive down to the hotel. The hotel's about 20 minutes away. Now, for fear of getting political, because that's not my MO here, is, 2 black guys in a Range Rover in Cincinnati at 2 o'clock in the morning with alcohol in their system. That's a recipe for disaster, right? We get pulled over. We're not home for Christmas. I'm just letting you know. So I'm driving to the hotel, and that's when I had my aha moment. I'm driving to the hotel, and I turn to my cousin, and I go, I can't do this anymore.
In the moment.
In the moment, I said, I can't do this anymore. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I'll explain to you later. But in my head, I'm here with some of my family that I haven't seen in years. I'm having a blast to the point where, because I don't really drink, right? To the point where I'm comfortable enough to throw a couple back. And right in the midst of that, right in the midst of me spending quality time with the people that matter to me most, I have to leave to go take care of my job. I can't do this anymore. So that was December of 21, January 22, I quit.
Whew.
Right? And again, I skipped all the part that, September 21 is when I found Fit Body Bootcamp and started doing the research.
Yeah.
And Max and I started chatting and whatnot. So even before we decided, Fit Body Bootcamp is going to be it, I was just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So that was my number 2 why. Time. I wanted to buy back my time. I need to buy back my time. Right? And this will transition, into the end when we're talking about, things that are important to you or some of the best advice you've gotten.
Yep.
And I posted, and I know you follow me on Facebook, but I posted this recently on Facebook. This guy at one of the Shark Tank interviews, where he was talking about you can always make money, you can always make time, and that is my number 2 why. All right, my health was number 1, my time was number 2, and my number 3 was my children, and my wife. I want to be able to spend as much time with them as possible. And, I had this experience with Barrett. I'm not sure if he told you, back in February when we came out here for the Mastermind Retreat. I had booked my flight and hotel for the entire week. And about a week before we came out, my wife says to me, hey, guess what we forgot? I was like, what? She's like, next Friday is your first father-daughter dance with Hayden. So I was like, I didn't even think twice. I was like, I'm changing my flight. So I was supposed to fly back home Saturday evening after the retreat finished. And I just changed my flight to fly back on Thursday. And I messaged Barrett and I was like, hey, is there a way that you'll be Zooming or streaming the last 2 days of the retreat? And he was like, I don't think we had planned on doing it. So I said, hey, just so you know, I had to change my flight. I just realized that, my number 1 why, I have a father-daughter dance with her Friday night. I'm not missing that. And he was like, man, I got nothing but respect for you and so on and so forth, right? Totally. And I went, flew back Thursday, I had my tie matched her dress, and we rolled in, and everybody was looking at us like, look at those two. What's crazy is we get in there, she hands me her water bottle, and I don't see her for the rest of the night because she's hanging out with her friends.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to sacrifice for that, right?
you.
So those are my 3 reasons, and those are the 3 things that pushed me to start this journey with Fit Body Bootcamp. And I gotta tell you, at almost a year in, everything that I dreamed of, and everything that I envisioned, and everything that I had hoped would happen in terms of my health, in terms of spending time with my loved ones, and in terms of spending time with my kids, are happening. I went back February of this year for my follow-up with my doctor. Down almost 40 pounds. Right? My heart rate, I think I posted it on Facebook. I think my blood pressure was 120/60. He hasn't been that in, I don't know, forever. All right? My A1C levels are in the low 5s. And he's looking, he had me up on the table. I didn't even know this, but if you're diabetic, you start losing feeling in the bottom of your feet.
Oh, yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
So he has me up, and he's like dragging stuff on the bottom. I'm like, dude, you're tickling me. And he's like, okay, you're good. He's like running all these tests to prove that, this is indeed happening.
Yeah, you're back on track.
I'm back on track, But it's just, it just, walking away from my career just opened up all of that for me, and it doesn't get better. This is it for me. I honestly, this is it for me. So, we knew coming in, we wanted to get one location to start. Again, yes, there is the financial aspect to it, because, we also, again, my wife, everything has to be on paper. And so for it to make financial sense, we did need to open multiple locations. So we knew from day one that we were going to be opening multiple locations. It wasn't a matter of if we were going to, it's a matter of when. Right. And so we're going full force, man. And the biggest part of it, and she will talk more about this, when she talks to people, is the connections and friendships that we've made on this journey, both with other partners and with members. Right. It's people coming in and literally, my office, I call it the wailing room. My integrator and I, we have affectionately called it the wailing room.
I know this inherently just being in the business, but you're gonna have to explain to our audience why.
So the wailing room is admittedly, I don't do a lot of strategy sessions anymore for that reason, and I can always tell when somebody's coming out of the office and just did a strategy session, because they're either coming out with a tissue in their hand, or my facility integrator is walking out hugging them, or something. But that door stays closed, and it's literally every time someone sits in that room, there is going to be tears. It just happens.
Standard.
It's just standard, right? But it's not even. I don't even say it to be funny. I say it because people feel so comfortable that they can be vulnerable with you in that room, and they feel confident that not only are you going to come out and spread it to the entire world, but they're gonna help you get over whatever these challenges are, right? And I've literally moved out of my office because I don't need to be in there now. It is the wailing room, and that's what it's going to be used for, and it's just the connection, that we made with members, man. It's worth every sleepless night that I've had thinking, because in the beginning,
it's a lift.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
In the beginning, I remember looking at, not even my wife knows this, because again, and this is another thing we can talk about as guys. We feel like society makes it that we have to internalize a lot of stuff, right? We're not allowed to be vulnerable. We're not allowed to show hurt. We're not, so there's a lot of nights that I'm up at 2:00 in the morning. My wife's sleeping, and I'm sitting downstairs going, and I'm probably looking at a pay stub or something going, I'm walking away from this.
Just the opportunity that you had.
Yeah, I'm walking away from this to go start a business that That's no guarantee.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no guarantee.
No, not at all.
Right? And I'm looking at, all the things that I've said I've wanted to do with my kids, all these trips that I want to go on, and all these places I want to take them. Because again, we're not believers. We're no longer believers in gifts. We don't want to spend a lot of money in gifts. We want to spend money on experiences. So we do a lot of travel, right? And so I'm looking at all these things that I want to do, and I'm going, well, I won't be able to afford this if I'm walking away from my hospitality salary. And here comes a business that, and I'm looking at the budget. I'm saying, okay, we're looking to start breaking even 9 months in. So if we're opening August 1st, we're not making a profit till May of the next year. This can't work. And that literally, there was everything in my head was like, this isn't going to work. But, I was watching one of Bedros's broadcasts with you when he was talking about the two guys in your head, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had to start tapping into that other guy, the supportive guy that's going, listen, man, you can do this, dude. You got this. You got this. Like, look how many, one of the things I specialized in as a hotel GM was, and part of why I moved as much was I was the GM who specialized in taking hotels that are struggling, not being profitable, can retain staff, the actual infrastructure's in shambles, and turn them around. So from the majority of my career, that's what I did. So that guy now had to start telling me, dude, do you remember such and such hotel? You remember that shit show? You know what I mean?
You got it.
Exactly.
You went in there.
Yeah.
You did
you went in there. You did it. You were doing this for somebody else. Why can't you do it for yourself?
Totally.
Right. And so I needed to now start telling myself, all right, we can do this. We can do this. And I remember the first month we broke even. So we opened August of 2022. We broke even October 2020. 2 months in. 2 freaking months in.
That's wild.
And I called Abby and I was like, are you seeing this? And she didn't understand why I was overly excited because I was the one that was having the internal battles. I was the one that was telling myself, dude, we're not going to break even until May of next year. Mm-hmm. I can't even afford your car payment. And now 2 months in, we're looking at her and going, holy crap, this is awesome.
You're there.
So, I know I gave you an earful there, but yeah.
That's what I wanted, my friend. That's why we're here. All right. I want to transition a little bit into what I believe are some zones of genius that have really enabled you to be successful, and both in your hospitality career, but then transitioning. And one, just qualities that I know to be true about you. But then we did some preparation and pulled some content from your team as well. So some of the feedback that I see, but also too, like was given by your team, is you're an incredibly strong visionary and you have just great warm energy. So, from your perspective, how do you think that has enabled your ability to lead and really be successful within, both industries, but specifically Fitrati, the gym industry?
So the great thing about, so there's 2 things about having vision, right? It is one thing to be able to go, man, I could see myself here, or I could see myself doing this, and I could see myself, owning this and whatnot. But it's nothing without action. It's absolutely nothing without action. And so, yes, are there a lot of dreamers in the world? Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of people who you can sit down and have drinks with your friends, and they'll tell you all the things that they want to do. And it doesn't have to be, again, coming from a humble background, it doesn't always, and more times than not, it doesn't have to be about money, right? Having great vision doesn't always mean, all right, I want to have a private jet and a private yacht and all that stuff. Having great vision could be as simple as, for example, 2 years ago, my one cousin, my closest cousin I was talking about, he and his wife hosted my aunt and uncle for Christmas in Jamaica. And I saw that and I was like, you know what? I need to pay it forward. I need to invite them to come spend Christmas with us. That was just me having a vision. I don't know if it was going to happen. I don't know how it was going to happen. I just knew that it would be nice to do that, just kind of like to say thank you. What you do with that vision now is what's important.
And that's the delta you're talking about.
Exactly.
Anyone can whip up these
Exactly.
ideas.
Anybody can whip up the idea. Anybody can whip up the idea.
That follow-up and
It's
execution.
what's the follow-up and execution going to be, right? And it's completely up to you. I don't have all the answers. So what I do is I surround myself with people who do, right? You'll hear me talk a lot about my facility integrator, right? She actually used to be my coach at that old gym that I was talking about, that old group gym that I went to. And when the idea of purchasing Fit Body Bootcamp came to light, yeah, I knew, even though I was walking away from my career, I knew I couldn't run the gym. And it's okay to know that you can't do it, right? But it's also important that you find somebody who can. So I reached out to her, and as a matter of fact, we weren't even friends. We didn't know each other like that. You know, I searched her on Facebook and I messaged her on Facebook, and it's funny. I said, "Hey, Coach, it's Uriel. You know, I come to your sessions. You know, I'd like to talk to you about something." And her response to me was, "Oh, that sounds great, but before I answer, tell me again how we met." Because, you know, she wanted to make sure that this was a spam.
Oh, yeah.
Or you know.
Yeah.
So I had to reply going, "You coached me." You know, so I was like, "Oh, okay.
Got it.
And then okay, got it. And so she just took my number and she called me. And I sat with her and I shared my vision with her. I said, "All right, so here's the deal. You know, I'm walking away from my career. You know, I'm getting ready to purchase this franchise. It's brand new to Cincinnati. You know, I'll send you the link for the franchise so you can take a look at it and whatnot. But this is what I have in mind, right? My goal is to have 4 of these in Cincinnati in the next 5 years. My goal is to grow this brand. My wife, Abby, will take care of the accounting and finance side. However, I need somebody to run the day-to-day operation. Like, I know I can grow this. I know that I can help. I can do the marketing. I know, you know, but the operations is not my forte.
Like
right?
the coaching. Like
The
technical
coaching,
aspect of
the scheduling of coaches, you know, stuff like that. And she goes, you know, it sounds great, but let me talk to my husband and I'll get back to you. Right? And a day later, she calls me back and she's like, "I'm in." Right?
it. No, I think there's a huge valuable point here. So
Yeah.
I want to unpack that. What do you think, and you probably know from follow-up conversations, like what attracted her to the opportunity? Because there's gold in that I want to make sure that our audience knows.
Because I made it clear that I was bringing her on as a partner, not as an employee. Right? I clearly laid out what I thought her scope of experience and her scope of knowledge and how that could help the trio, right? So it was me, her, and Abby, right? It wasn't her coming in to work for me and Abby, even though essentially that's what it is, right? And you know, it's funny because as an eagle, that's one of the things that I've had to kind of reel back myself on a lot of times, you know, remembering that, hey, I brought her on as a partner, right? There's certain decisions that I'm going to have to make her make.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to support them regardless of whether or not I agree with them, right? So it was, and it's the same thing I did in hospitality, right? And, you know, one of the weekly call that I'm on with the East Coast owners, this is one of the things we talk about a lot. Empowering your people.
Oh, yeah.
Making them feel like they're part of the team rather than just an employee.
Because when they have buy-in, then people support what they create.
Exactly.
And Uriel, you've done an incredible job, just from a leadership perspective, from a visionary perspective, laying down the parameters. And then when you get buy-in from your integrator or coaches, then they support more what they create.
Exactly.
And to your point, the execution is really what matters. And
Exactly.
that goes through the roof.
Exactly. Right. And so basically that's how I attack, you know, being a visionary in all aspects of my life, even with my children. You know, I'll say to them, "All right, girls, you know," like in February we went on a cruise to the Bahamas. And I say to them, "All right, we're going on this cruise to the Bahamas. What do you want to do?" Because I could sit here and say, "We're going to do this, and this, and this." No, but you're the ones that are going to come back and tell your friends about this thing that you did. I want to know what you want to. Granted, they're 7 and 4. They probably don't know a lot.
Yeah.
But I still want them to feel like they are a part of planning this vacation.
They're going to be more committed. They're going to be more, enjoy it more.
Exactly.
And the opposite, if you just plan the itinerary without consulting, granted, we're talking about 4 to 7 year old girls, but the analogy reigns true, like in your business as well. They're going to fight. They're going to resist when things don't go to plan. They're going to come back and like, "Dad, I told you."
Exactly.
Where when you do the opposite, you set the guidelines, the vision.
Exactly.
But then you empower your people inward. Then they're going to be more ambitious and excited to take action.
Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
Energy. That was another characteristic that comes up. And man, you just have warm energy. The first time I met you, and we were talking off script, I'm actually going to teach for a second here. When I met you, your warmness energy, like you can tell you're very charismatic. You just have a way with people. In addition to that, we talked about at our on-site experience welcoming dinner, you had 30 years of experience in hospitality. So I knew you got the people business.
Right.
And then one thing that you said, I'll never forget, and we even talked about this off camera. You said, Bryce, I have this experience, but I'm coming in as a white belt mentality with a sponge. I want to soak it all up. And honestly, like I turn to my team after, I'm like, this guy is going to dominate. And that's what you've done. So bringing this back, though, from an energy perspective, how do you think, your energy has helped impact your location, your clients, your members, and your team? And maybe, what are some, things that you do to increase your energy for, our audience a good takeaway?
First of all, I learned from a very early age that, again, I'm 6'4". Well, at the time, I was 292 pounds. I'm 6'4", 292 pounds, bald-headed black guy, especially in the summer. I'm like this black, right?
with a beautiful accent to boot.
So if I'm just standing there and I'm not smiling, I'm a scary looking dude. Right? So right off the bat, I knew that whether I wanted to or not, I have to smile.
Yeah.
If I don't smile, I'm going to scare the living snot out of people.
Totally.
Right? So that I learned over time as I got older. However, is some of it factory installed? Yes. However, you are a product of your upbringing. Yeah. You are. Yeah. You are. And, and I've just always grown up around among some of the warmest people you'll ever meet. Again, vacationing in Jamaica is kind of, yes, it is a little commercialized. However, if you ever get a chance to really interact with the real Jamaicans, I'm not talking about the ones that you see on TV. Okay, they're great, but the real,
authentic,
real authentic. I'm from the country. I'm from the south coast of Jamaica. Most people
never will see that.
Never see the south coast of Jamaica, right? Because it's farming towns, fishing villages. Everybody's just warm. I remember when I got married, because Abby and we got married in Jamaica. We had 300 people at our wedding. Right? It wasn't even split because Abby's originally from Ohio. So we had about 150 people from the U.S.
Yep.
And then the rest were from Jamaica. And again, these are all people who have never met these Ohioans before. Mm-hmm. And you would never know that if you were at this wedding reception because everybody's just welcoming. Mm-hmm. Everybody is just warm. Jamaicans are very, 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 very extroverted about their culture. Like you just say, "Hey, how are things?" and you can just hit record because they're not gonna stop, right? And we're just very, very warm and welcoming people. I know. Myself, so there are two types, in my mind, there are two types of people in the world, right? There are those people who you have to work your ass off to gain their trust, right? They don't trust you from the door. You have to work your ass off to gain their trust. But once you do, you're in. Mm-hmm. And then there's people like me. There's people like me who, from the door, I trust you. I love you. I love upon you. I trust you until you give me a reason not to. Right? You give me a reason not to? Yeah, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. But that's just who I've always been. I'm welcoming, you're coming in. If you're in my space, you're coming in.
Let's go.
Right? I'm not shaking your hand. I'm coming in for a hug. Yep. That's just who I am.
Yep.
And it's funny because, my wife's mother side of the family is not huggy. They're not that, So when I started meeting them, that was me. I'm coming in for a hug. I'm coming in for a hug. And one of the things that we joke about a lot is I've dated outside of my race, a couple times before my wife, but I've always been known as, oh, she's dating this big black guy. Abby's family's German, so they're all big, right? So with Abby's family, I'm not the big black guy. I'm just the black guy, right? So I come around and I'm coming in, I'm not. Why am I shaking your hand? Your family, get in here. Come get some of this love right? And that's how I am with my members as well. Until you tell me, hey, dude, I'm not too comfortable with that, then, I'll respect your space. But again, the truth is, majority of our members are people who are looking at themselves going, I don't like where I'm at.
Yeah, they need to pick me up, man.
I don't like me. I don't like where I'm at. You know, years ago, I was in a better space. You know, I used to love, my wife used to love hugging up on me, or my husband used to right? Those are the people that you need to go in and go, hey, come in here.
They need it the most.
Get in here.
Yeah.
Come get some Fit Body Boot Camp love. We're going to get you where you need to be, but it starts here. Right? It starts with building that trust. It starts with us making people understand we don't see you as an account number. We see you as Joe. We see you as, Mrs. Jones. That's who you are to us.
Person, family,
Yes.
in the community.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
And this, I'm going to just go off topic here and teach for a second. My friends, being in the gym ministry since 2012, this is the reason for this guy's success. I mean, there's many reasons. I hate to simplify it, but the warmness, the connection. We are in the people business first and foremost. And we like to say people come for the results, but they stay for the relationships. They stay for the connections. And this guy and his team have just done it in spades. And I just want to reinforce it because that's such a critical point that I think you just do exceptionally well.
Yeah. And, truth be told, I'd be remiss if I took all the credit for this. It really isn't me. Our integrator, Melissa, I'm going to call her by name because she's awesome. Right?
Melissa, giving you a shout out.
Yeah, I'm going to call her by name. I remember when she decided, hey, all right, I'm joining. Let's do this. And again, this is right after the pandemic, so nobody wanted to work because everybody was getting that extra love from the government, right? So nobody wanted to work. And so the biggest concern that I had was finding a team.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she came in day one with 3 coaches. She was like, I got the team. Let's do this. And so, I sat and interviewed each person. And with each person that I sat with, I was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to do amazing stuff in here. Right? We have this one coach, P, who's just the most selfless person I've ever met. I could sit here and give examples. We've had members who've lost a family member, and she's gone in. I've actually had arguments with her because she'll just spend her own money to go get stuff like flowers or bring a meal over to the home or stuff. And I'm like, no, talk to us about it. We'll finance it.
Well, good on her first and foremost.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
And good on you because
Yes.
it's both of you. It's the relationship. It's the leadership. I mean, the culture starts from the top.
Yeah.
So that's important. That's another takeaway as well. Uriel, this has been awesome. We need to schedule a second round of this.
We absolutely
Because I only
do.
have a few more minutes with
Yes.
you left. And I want to ask 2 final questions. But man, this has been absolutely incredible. As we transition, there's someone watching this right now or listening to this, and they know they need to change. Whatever their low point is, they come to that aha, like, wow, I need to be in an environment, a business model where I can impact people, I can make income in the process. Opening a fitness business, potentially even opening a Fit Body could be something I'm interested in. But for whatever reason, we have that internal critic we were talking about earlier, that self-doubt we all go through. What would you say to that person?
Truth is, if you do nothing, you're going to constantly be in that state. If you do nothing, you're constantly going to be in that state. When I decided to ask my wife to marry me, right, I didn't go around asking people, should I marry this girl? I didn't go around going, well, what if we get divorced? Or what if we're not a good fit? Or what if she doesn't want to have kids? You do it. You make the decision. Because the reason you're having thoughts about this is because you're not happy with where you are. If something is not, get up and change it, right? Life doesn't have a remote. You have to get up and change it. I'm going back to the old school now where we have to get up and flip the TV channel, right? Get up and make the move.
And to interject, I mean, it reminded from your story, when you like the aha moment when you're running with your daughter and you couldn't do it and you're like, you go to the doctor, you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Like, I need to change. I don't know exactly what that change is, but I need to change.
Yes.
And that's the moment we're talking about.
And that's that moment right there. And in that moment is when you need to make the change. Because guess what? After that moment, because they're going to be fleeting. Those moments are going to be fleeting. So they're going to come every now and again.
Totally.
Right? And what's going to happen is each time you do not make a move on it, is going to come again down the road. Because, again, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't even want to look at it. Thanks to my aunt, I'm not as frequent to the church anymore, right? But there's an inner thing called your conscience, right? You can call it God, you can call it spirit, whatever you want to call it. I'm not here to discern people's beliefs, but we all have that thing inside of us. And it's going to nag you until you make a move. And the last thing you want to do is have regrets, right? You don't want to be. How many times? And again, this is a good analogy. How many times have you been watching late night TV and you see something being advertised and you're like, oh snap! I thought about doing something like that years ago, and here's somebody making billions off of it, right? It's the same thing, right? It doesn't have to be Fit Body Boot Camp. It doesn't have to be fitness. But every time you think about doing something, just know that you're not the only person thinking about it, right? There's 7 billion people in this world. You're not that blessed to be the only person having that thought. No way.
But the difference in what we talked about earlier, it's anyone can have the dream or vision.
Exactly.
The difference is the action.
The action behind it.
All right, my friend, as we wind this episode down, this show or this podcast is the Fitness CEO, and you are certainly a fitness CEO in your own right. So for you, though, Uriel, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Most people think CEO and they think, all right, this is a guy or girl that leads. This is the big poobah. This is a guy or girl that calls the shots. Honestly, I've learned, and from my previous career and now, that being a fitness CEO really means finding people who you're going to empower to do the job better than you. And is it a big hit to your ego? Yeah, if you're somebody who doesn't want to let go of your ego, yes. But if you're somebody who wants to be successful, that's what you do. You find the right people to put in the position. It's going to cost you a little bit more, yeah. Because could I be taking home more money if I didn't hire, an integrator and whatever? Yes. But ultimately, I win, right? You can always make money. You can't always make time. And my goal, and again, our goals are all different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not telling everybody to have the same goal that I have. My goal is to buy back my time. And so if it means paying somebody twice as much as I'm paying myself just so I can buy back my time, then so be it.
My friend, that is servant leadership at its finest. And man, this has been awesome. Before we wrap today, I just want to thank you, not for being on this show, but for being who you are as a dude. And we even talk about this, like the crazy situation of events, you getting here, having 2 hours of sleep, not even, getting at 3:30 in the hotel. Yeah. We're shooting this at 6 a.m. live is just, shows your heart, your dedication, your passion. But not only in the fitness industry, just you as a person. I love your story. I love your Immigrant Edge story. I have so much love and gratitude for immigrants like you that would just come to our country, work so hard, make it better. And I just love how you show up every single day and the service, the value, the energy, the output that you provide, our brand, your family, your clients, and your community. With that, my friend, I'm so grateful, and I just want to thank you for being on the show, and thank you for being who you are.
Thanks, my friend. Thanks for being here.
All right, my friends, I know you got a ton of value today, assuming you did. If you could like this video, that would mean a lot. And as we wrap today, I want to remind you that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself, and the time is now. Thanks again, my friend. Friends, we'll see you in the next episode.